It's easy to picture early humans as serious. Life was hard. You had to find food. You had to avoid being food. You had to stay warm. It seems like an endless cycle of survival. All work and no play. But that's not the whole story. It can't be. Look at any animal. Look at a puppy tumbling with its siblings. Look at a dolphin leaping from the water. Look at a crow sliding down a snowy roof just for the fun of it. Play is wired into us. It's wired into the animal kingdom. And we are animals. So what did they do for fun? It's a tricky question. Fun doesn't fossilize. Laughter doesn't leave a mark in the rock. A good story vanishes on the wind. We can't dig up a game of tag, but we can look for clues. We can look at the bones, the tools, the art they left behind. We can look at our closest living relatives, the great apes. And we can look at modern hunter-gatherer groups whose way of life might echo the distant past. Putting these pieces together, a picture emerges. A picture of a life that wasn't just about grim survival. No. It was also about connection, creativity, and joy. Fun wasn't a luxury, it was a tool. It was how we learned, it was how we bonded, it was how we became human. Let's go back. Way back, millions of years. Before we were even Homo sapiens. Imagine a group of our early ancestors, maybe Australopithecus, on the African savanna. They walked upright, but their brains were small, their lives were basic: find food, stay safe, raise young. What did fun look like for them? It probably looked a lot like primate play. Think of young chimpanzees. They wrestle, they chase each other, they tickle and tumble. This isn't just goofing off. This is training. It builds strong muscles and quick reflexes. It teaches them how to fight without causing real harm. It helps them figure out the social ladder. Who's stronger, who's faster, who can you push around, and who should you leave alone. Our early ancestors almost certainly did the same. Young hominins would have wrestled in the dust, chasing each other around the safety of their camp. They would have learned their own physical limits and the limits of others. A parent would have played with their child, tossing them gently in the air, tickling them, making faces. This kind of play builds one of the most important bonds in nature. It's a physical conversation that says, I am here, you are safe, you are loved. It teaches the child about touch, about trust, about interaction, and there was probably object play. A weirdly shaped stick, a smooth, round stone, a brightly colored feather. They might not have made tools yet, but curiosity is a powerful driver of play. Picking things up, feeling their texture, their weight, tossing a rock to see how it flies. This is the very beginning of understanding physics. It's the seed of the idea that you can use an object to affect the world. Before you can make a spear, you have to have fun throwing a stick. This early fun was mostly physical and immediate. It was about the body and about the small social group. It was about learning to be a successful physical creature in a dangerous world. It left no trace, but we can be sure it was there. It had to be. It's the foundation of all the fun that came later. Now let's move forward in time. 1.5 million years ago, we meet Homo erectus. These ancestors were different. They were taller. Their brains were much bigger. They made tools, real tools like the Acheulean hand axe, and they controlled fire. This changes everything. The control of fire is one of the most important moments in human history, and it completely changed what we did for fun. Before fire, night was terrifying. It was dark and full of predators. The best you could do was huddle together in a safe place and wait for the sun. But with fire, the night became something else. It became a time for community. A fire creates a circle of light and warmth. It keeps the predators away. For the first time, humans had a safe, shared space after the sun went down. The workday of hunting and gathering was over. Now what? This is where social fun really takes off. This is the birth of the fireside chat. With bigger brains came more complex social lives. And with that came the need to talk about it. Maybe they didn't have full-blown language like we do. But they could communicate with grunts, with gestures, with sounds. Imagine them around the fire. Someone reenacts the hunt from that day. They pretend to be the giant deer. They show how they crept up on it. They make a motion of throwing a spear. Others watch, maybe making sounds of excitement or fear. This isn't just a dry report. This is a performance. It's entertainment. It's also a way to share vital information. This is how the deer behaves. This is a good way to hunt it. It was a lesson and a show all in one. This is probably where storytelling was born. The stories might have been simple at first, but they were stories nonetheless. They built a shared history for the group. They created a common understanding of the world, and telling them, listening to them, was a way to pass the time and feel connected to one another. And what about gossip? Anthropologist Robin Dunbar has a theory that language evolved as a replacement for grooming. Primates spend a huge amount of time grooming each other. It's not just about hygiene. It's social glue. It builds trust and reinforces alliances. But as human groups got bigger, you couldn't possibly groom everyone. Dunbar suggests that language, or gossip, became a form of vocal grooming. Around that fire, people would have talked about each other. Who is a good hunter? Who is lazy? Who is trustworthy? Who is sleeping with whom? This sounds petty, but it's incredibly important social information. It helps you navigate your world. And let's be honest, it's fun. It's interesting. It connects you to your group. The simple act of sharing information and opinions about others is a powerful form of social recreation. Toolmaking itself might have had a fun side. Making a good hand axe is hard. It takes skill and practice. Young Homo erectus would have watched their elders trying to copy them. There would have been a lot of mistakes, but there must have been a deep satisfaction in getting it right. A sense of pride in creating a perfect, symmetrical, sharp tool. It's a creative act. And the feeling of mastery, of being good at something, is a profound source of pleasure. Maybe they had friendly competitions. Who can make the best axe? Who can nap the sharpest flake? So, for Homo erectus, fun became more social and more cognitive. It was still physical, but now it was also centered around the fire, around stories, and around the satisfaction of making things. Fun was becoming more human. Let's jump ahead again. To Europe a few 100,000 years ago. The world is in the grip of an ice age, and a new kind of human lives here, the Neanderthals. For a long time, we pictured Neanderthals as brutish, dim-witted cavemen. We were wrong. They were intelligent, resourceful, and capable of complex thought, and they almost certainly had fun. With Neanderthals, we start to see evidence for something new, something beyond pure function. We see the first hints of art and symbolism. They used pigments. We've found blocks of black manganese and red ochre at their sites. They were grinding these minerals into powder. What for? Maybe for practical things, like tanning hides. But it's also very likely they were using it to decorate things, perhaps their own bodies. Painting your face or body with colors is a universal human practice. It can be for ritual. It can be for war. It can also be for celebration and fun. It's a way of expressing your identity, of saying, look at me. It's a creative act. We also find objects that seem to be personal ornaments. At one site in France, archaeologists found eagle talons that had been cut and shaped. They looked like they were part of a necklace or some other kind of jewelry. In Spain, they found perforated shells that had been covered in pigment. Why would a Neanderthal wear an eagle talon necklace? It serves no survival purpose. You can't eat it, it won't keep you warm, it's for something else. It's about meaning. Maybe it was a status symbol. I am a great hunter, I killed the eagle. Maybe it had spiritual significance. But it was also about aesthetics. It looked cool. The act of making it, of choosing the talons, of wearing it, brings a sense of pride and identity. It's a form of self-expression, and that feels good. And then there is the question of music. This one is controversial. At a Neanderthal site in Slovenia, a cave bear femur was found with several holes in it. It looks a lot like a simple flute. Some scientists argue the holes were made by a carnivore's teeth. Others are convinced it's a musical instrument. If it is a flute, just think about that for a moment. A Neanderthal, sitting by a fire in a cave, playing a simple melody on a bone flute. This is a massive leap. Music is pure abstraction. It's creating patterns of sound for no other reason than the emotional effect they produce. It can make you feel happy or sad or want to dance. It's a technology for creating and sharing feelings. The idea of a group of Neanderthals singing or chanting together, maybe with someone playing a simple rhythm on a log or a bone, is powerful. It's a form of fun that binds a group together like nothing else. Even if the flute isn't real, they had their voices. They could sing, they could clap, they could stamp their feet. Rhythm is fundamental. And moving your body to a rhythm or dance is one of the most ancient and joyful forms of human expression. We have no direct evidence of Neanderthals dancing, but it's hard to imagine they didn't. It's a natural response to emotion and to rhythm. It's play, it's exercise, and it's social bonding all rolled into one. The world of Neanderthal fun was richer than we used to think. It was a world of decoration, of personal expression, and maybe even music. They were not just surviving the Ice Age. They were living in it, and finding ways to make that life meaningful and beautiful. Finally, we arrive at our own species, Homo sapiens. Around 50,000 years ago, something amazing happens. It's often called the creative explosion. All over the world, we start to see a flowering of art, technology, and culture. And with it, a whole new universe of fun. The most famous evidence, of course, is the cave art. In places like Lascaux and Chauvin, France, our ancestors went deep into the dark, dangerous parts of caves. And with flickering torches for light, they painted breathtaking images of animals on the walls. Horses, bison, mammoths, lions, these are not simple stick figures. They are works of art full of life and movement. Why did they do it? Scholars have debated this for a century. Were they hunting magic meant to ensure a successful hunt? Were they records of past events? Were they part of religious ceremonies? Probably all of the above. But we shouldn't forget one simple possibility. It was a creative act that brought awe and wonder. Imagine being a child in that clan. The elders take you deep into the cave, a sacred and scary place. They light the torches, and suddenly the walls come alive with powerful beasts. They seem to move in the flickering light. Someone tells the story of the Great Bison Hunt. It would have been an incredible show. It was entertainment. It was a spectacle. It was a way to pass on knowledge and culture in the most compelling way possible. The people who painted them must have felt a huge sense of accomplishment and pride. They were artists, and a big part of art is the joy of creation, and music became much more definite. We found dozens of flutes made from bird bones and mammoth ivory from this period. Some of them are quite complex. They could play multiple notes. We can only guess at what other instruments they had. Drums made from stretched animal skins, rattles made from gourds or shells, stringed instruments like a simple bow. With these tools, they could create real music. They could have songs. Songs for hunting, songs for celebrating a birth, songs for mourning the dead. And with songs comes dance. Imagine a celebration after a successful mammoth hunt. The whole clan is gathered. The fire is roaring. There's more food than they can eat. Someone is playing a flute, others are drumming on a log. People are singing, clapping, and dancing. They are reenacting the hunt. They are celebrating their victory. They are reinforcing their bonds with each other. This is pure explosive joy. This is community. This is fun at its most powerful. We also start to see clear evidence of games. All over the world, archaeologists find small, flat stones with patterns etched into them. They look like pieces for a board game. We don't know the rules, of course. But the impulse to create games of strategy and chance seems to be universal. Net games are a safe way to compete. They teach you to think ahead, to plan, to take calculated risks. And they are a great way to socialize and pass the time. There were also games of skill. We find what look like targets, and we know they were masters of spear throwing. It's easy to imagine young hunters having competitions. Who can throw their spear the farthest? Who can hit that tree from 50 paces? This is play, but it's also essential practice. The person who wins the game is also the person most likely to bring home dinner. Personal adornment went into overdrive. Homo sapiens made intricate beads from shells, teeth, and stone. They carved small, beautiful sculptures like the famous Venus figurines. They weren't just making jewelry, they were making art to be worn. This is about identity, status, and beauty on a whole new level. It's about taking the time to make something not just functional, but exquisite. The effort involved shows how much this mattered to them. And finally, storytelling with the power of fully modern language would have become a true art form. Around the fire, the storytellers could now weave complex tales, stories of the creation of the world, stories of heroic ancestors, stories of clever tricksters who outsmarted monsters, funny stories about someone falling in the river, scary stories about what lurks in the dark woods. These stories were the television, the internet, and the library all in one. They were how a culture remembered its past and taught its values to the next generation. But at the heart of it, a good story is just great fun to listen to. It transports you to another world. It makes you laugh, it makes you cry, it makes you feel. For our ancestors, gathering to listen to a master storyteller would have been a highlight of their lives. So, what did early humans do for fun? They did what we do. They played, they chased and wrestled and tickled, building strong bodies and strong bonds. They connected, they sat together, shared food, and talked. They shared stories and information, weaving the social fabric of their group through gossip and conversation. They created. They painted on cave walls. They decorated their bodies. They carved beautiful objects, and they made music that filled the night. They found joy in making things that were meaningful and beautiful. They competed. They played games of skill and games of chance, testing themselves against each other in a spirit of friendly rivalry. Fun was never a separate part of life. It was completely mixed in with everything else. Play was learning. Storytelling was education. Making art was religion. Fun was the engine of culture. It was the way we practiced for reality, the way we built our communities, and the way we made sense of the world. When we look back at our ancestors, we shouldn't just see a grim struggle for survival. We should see laughter. We should hear music. We should imagine children playing in the dirt and old friends sharing a story by the fire. The drive to have fun, to find joy, to play and create is one of the oldest and most essential parts of who we are. It's not what we did when we had free time from surviving, it's how we survived.